Hey everyone, Evan Kirstel here with another great contact center slash CX discussion today with Joel Sylvester, Chief Client Officer at Five Star Call Centers. Joel, how are you?
I'm great, Evan. Great to catch up. Summer's upon us. Usually call center people talk during the winter a bunch, but it's good to catch up with you in the middle of the summer.
Summertime it is. Is it hot yet? You're in Sioux City, South Dakota. Is that right?
Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Yep,
Okay.
it is. It's 90 degrees here. The mosquitoes have not hatched yet, so we're loving life. As soon as that happens in the Midwest, all of a sudden everything changes.
Fantastic. And my expectations are fairly high for this call. You call yourself builders of outrageously amazing customer experience. So you're setting the bar pretty high with your name alone. 6 or 7 stars weren't available, so 5 stars. But kidding aside, give us a little background on you and Five Star Call Centers and sort of the history of the company.
Sure. Yeah. Well, personally, I'm a contact center guy. The Midwest, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, really grew up call centers in the 80s and 90s. Low cost of living. It's cold outside 9 months out of the year, so people were, loved coming to work and doing some of those things. So I ran contact centers all over the world. Ramped my first Philippines contact center back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm one of the owners here at Five Star, and we do outrageous contact center service. But we are contact center folks. We are passionate about world-class customer care and really are excited about all the things going on in the industry that are making it more possible to provide that world-class customer care. I a lot of times relate it to the old version of the movie Independence Day, the old Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum version, where they said, the little lights just started turning on in the last couple of days. That's really how I think in the contact center industry now, with all the technology, with speech analytics and with gamification and with automation and with agent assist, all the things that we've wanted to do for years are here, and we're able to take advantage of them to really help agents serve customers and help customers throughout the world.
And we're going to dive into all of that. I'm super excited to have your time here, particularly in advance of CCW in Las Vegas, Customer Contact Week, your big show of the year, I think. Um, so tell us about the landscape. I mean, there are many, many outsourcers. It's a gigantic, what, $1 trillion industry probably globally. What's unique about your approach to the marketplace at Five Star Call Centers?
Yeah, there are thousands of outsourcers, and I always say I really don't even think it's competition. It's a fit,
Mhm.
right? You have to find the right fit, and it is, when you're in an industry, whether it's hospitality or retail or financial services or technology, giving up your customers or giving your customer access to somebody else can be a scary thing. You fight to get customers, and you build products that you want your customers to love, and then to give that opportunity or that control to somebody else is definitely scary, and we get that. I get that personally. When I ran contact centers, I actually had BPOs or outsourcers that I hired, and so I 100% I'm used to sitting on the other side of the aisle. So we take that super seriously, and it really starts with the agents we hire. We hire agents that want to do the right things. We're in 25
Mm.
states, we're in Mexico, we're in Guatemala, and nothing gets me more excited when I'm talking to somebody and they are telling a story of where they did something and helped somebody and how they that made their day. And in today's world, people want to help, but it's getting harder, Evan. I mean, if you're driving by and you see somebody broke down on the side of the road, you're scared to stop and help them, because who knows? You could get accused of doing something wrong. You could get shot at. You could, it's all this stuff. And I find it every single day that I love it. The fact that our agents, our programmers, our managers truly are able to help people and love doing that. And we're experts at it. It's all we have to do. I don't have to know how to engineer anything. I don't have to run a hotel. I don't have to run a bank. All I have to do is put people in a position to succeed, providing world-class customer care. So I think for 5-star, we're mid-sized. Our perfect, partner is 50 to a couple hundred seats, and we really do we really take it seriously. When we have a bad customer interaction, it grinds our gears, and it keeps us up at night, and it's all we've done. But on the flip side, it's so exciting when we're able to provide great service and we see our customers grow. The pandemic was a weird thing for everybody, but in this industry especially, people we were sometimes the only connection people had with people for days,
Wow.
because they were locked in their basements. They were whatever, but they needed to get everything from food to cleaning supplies to telehealth, to support with their television or their computer, because their kid had to do online classes and they'd never done that before, and we had to troubleshoot cameras and all that kind of stuff. So it was really an interesting time to again take all the things that we had done as an industry when it was possible to be helped face to face. You could go to the store before the pandemic. You could go to the doctor before the pandemic. You could go get something fixed at a shop during the pandemic. During the pandemic, a lot of times you didn't have those options, and all the training, all the tools, all the resources, everything that went into place was able to be kind of showcased and help people get through that time.
Fantastic mission and service you provided. And you're also very proud of the domestic-based call center services you offer, in addition to nearshore as well. What are some of the opportunities, challenges when you talk about nearshore versus offshore versus domestic? What's the balancing act there, do you find?
Yeah, the nice thing is that with the technology, it is kind of plug and play. Generally nearshore's half price. So for partners that are seeing a crunch on margin, as we're, whatever economists are saying we're supposed to call this right now, whether it's a recession or whether it's not, or whatever, there's no question there's a crunch on budgets. So the fact that you can offer nearshore offerings and have the technology to make that a really good experience is great. In addition, there's obviously labor shortages in the United States, and generationally, people are having children later in life and they're having less children. So I just think this is going to be an ongoing thing, that you're going to have these labor shortages. So the fact that you can utilize resources nearshore, offshore, and humanitarily, you can look at some of these places that really don't have a lot of resources, and by bringing jobs there, you get a agent who is truly passionate to help and is in a situation where they value that job and that career,
Mm.
and that opportunity. Domestically, what I think I'm most excited about is the fact that I think the workforce has changed. For us, we're in 25 states. I grew up in a very small town, 335 people. I love
Wow.
those. I love those communities. If I can, identify a community where someone is in a small town like that, where are you going to work? Right? You might have to drive
Mm.
an hour and a half in. If you look at a lot of the large metros these days, it is difficult to get an apartment that you can afford, much less a house, or something like that. So one of our real bread and butters is some of these smaller communities. I think you get a great work ethic. You get people that are truly want to help, but don't have access to a career where they can utilize their healthcare background or their financial services background or their hospitality background or their technology support background. So that's something that I'm personally excited about, and that I enjoy, is that I am able to talk to team members and agents that are able to do this where they live. They can go pick up their kids in 10 minutes and then be back in their home office and working. They can, as soon as if things are slow in a contact center, like there's sometimes our VTO, volunteer time off. If you
Hmm.
got up in the morning and you got ready and you went to work and you were there and your boss came and said, "Hey, do you want to go home an hour early?" No, I'm here. I want to finish my shift. Where if you're at home and they say we're slow, did
Did
I
I lose
lose
you?
you?
Nope, I'm
Oh, I'm
here.
back. And you're slow, and they say, "Do you want an hour off?" They're like, "Sure, I'll go, play catch with my kid, or I'll, go mow the yard, or I'll go to the gym, or whatever the case might be." So just that changing landscape. Now, trust me, it's not without its challenges. But I look at it, and again, I think the things that we learned in this industry over the last 20, 30, well, whenever they invented the telephone, since then, the things we've learned have all kind of been a culmination of getting to this new work at home environment, this global environment, and really this self-serve environment, this environment where it's so difficult to go someplace and get somebody to help you with your problem, and utilizing the efficiency of a contact center and the resources available, whether it's IVR or web help or chat help or all these different omni-channel services, is really a good service, productive, efficient service to be able to provide.
Brilliant. This year, lots of focus on the agent experience, employee experience in general. With all of the workforce challenges and churn and turnover. What's your approach to training and enablement and equipping agents? Do you have a philosophy there?
Yeah, hire the best, right? I
Mhm.
mean, really, that's the case, is hire someone who is passionate about customer service and doing it, because you can kind of figure out the rest. It's the foundation, right? If you build a house on sand, it's probably not going to last a whole long time. So really find that person that's passionate about it. And it goes back to, sometimes that might be in Mexico, sometimes it might be in Guatemala, sometimes it might be in a small town. And then again, the resources available. We have artificial intelligence in our training. So everybody used to do the role playing. They hated it, right? You do the role playing and training. Now you can role play with a robot. And you can set that
Mm.
robot up to sound like Samuel L. Jackson, or to sound like whoever you want. And so the fact that there's the technology in place to help people, so hire the best, and even the resources and technologies available to help hire people. You're on camera. Your excitement level, your authenticity, your honesty can be measured in an interview. I hired people 20 years ago that I wish I would have had on camera, and I would have had an honesty score for that I didn't, and ended up regretting, that decision. But so from the hiring process, using that technology all the way through training, letting people kind of train at their own pace, but being able to test them and be able to tell what their confidence level is based on speech analytics and things like that. If I would have had, these tools 20 years ago, I only imagine, where we're at. And for me, that's what gets me excited, is these tools exist today to measure confidence and sentiment. And where are we going to be in another year, and another 2 years, and another 3 years, as things just continue to get refined? A lot of people look at artificial intelligence, they think of Terminator, and they think of, jobs going away. In my world, I believe there's more than enough work to go around for those that want to do it for a very, 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 very long time. And utilizing some of the artificial intelligence, using some of the technology, is only going to make it better, and it's only going to allow people better ways to hone their skills and really do that. Another thing
Yeah, so
we're,
many
we're
opportunities. Absolutely.
we're passionate about is those, English, English as a second language folks. The technology today to help people move along that line to get proficient. We have a lot of team members with disabilities that
Mm.
are able to really have an amazing job that they're passionate about, but they can do it at home, whether it's, from a wheelchair, or with different, very basic, adjustments that are made to their workstation. And we hear that every day. I actually had a team member that works for me, and he was helping a customer, and the customer asked him, are you going to go for a walk after your shift? He's in a wheelchair. Nobody's ever asked him if he was going to go for a
Mm.
walk. But in that particular interaction, it was literally a chance for him to be 100% like anybody else, and from any other walk of life. So again, the technology exists to be able to allow for some of those things, which I'm excited about.
Fantastic. And you work across a lot of different industries, financial, retail, healthcare, on and on and on. How do you adapt to those different industries, different needs?
Yeah,
It must be a challenge.
e- even though every industry thinks they're very unique and what works in healthcare could never work in retail, we actually see it as the opposite. That
Hmm.
generally, in my career, retailers have been the first movers. They've had to have been, right? They just have to be creative. They have to be the most efficient. So retailers were usually the first ones to start with automating things and to whatever. And now some of those other industries are getting there, like the healthcare. So we actually share best practices. And during the pandemic, when all of a sudden healthcare volumes went through the roof, you were able to utilize some of the things that you'd learned in retail or financial services or hospitality. We do in a hiring process. If the team members are some are very technical. They're good at fixing stuff, right? That's just how their brain works.
Hmm.
They're gonna go into a techno account. Some are caring and very good in healthcare. That's going to be a strong account. However, I will tell you some of our best success stories are people that started in retail and then maybe moved over to healthcare because
Hmm.
if you can believe it or not, a lot of times as Americans and as consumers, we are more picky about our products than we are our own healthcare. And I mean,
Sadly true. Yes.
you
Yeah.
buy a new phone and you ask 200 questions. You go into the doctor and you listen to whatever the doctor says. Now, I think as a society we're adjusting to that a little bit because there's more information. But we're seeing a lot of cross between that, and sometimes technology that was developed for retail can help in healthcare, can happen help in technical support or things like that.
That's brilliant. And you talk about outrageous, wonderful experiences. I love that. Amazing experiences because, I'm a marketeer, so I get it. But how do you measure, metrics, KPIs that report on things like that? How do you measure yourself for success?
My absolute favorite is compliment calls.
Hmm.
I tell, even though I'm one of the owners, every compliment call I can possibly see. I love taking those and things like that, and we get them. And now, actually, today, with a lot of the things that are out there with speech analytics, you can actually hear those and get them recorded and things like that. So
Hmm.
from an anecdotal standpoint, there's nothing better than the true compliment call. We had a healthcare call where the person was in tears. They couldn't figure it out. They weren't going to get to their doctor's appointment. Our agent helped them. You can imagine how that, I mean, it chokes you up, right?
Hmm.
But the fact that everything is measured in a contact center, everything is measured. I jokingly tell my male contact centers if they're going to the urologist, I can give them all their information because I can tell them how often they've gone to the bathroom and how long they were gone. And everything is measured. And it really does help you to be able to understand what's the customer satisfaction of every single call. What's the de-escalation? What's the escalation? What's the time? If a call that's supposed to take 6 minutes takes 10, it's probably not good for anybody involved. And being able to really watch those numbers, you can tell when it's an amazing experience just by looking at the numbers. I could look at an agent's day and I could tell whether they had a good day or not based on the numbers. And I could then pull call recordings and I know what I'm going to hear based on those numbers. So that's what's really kind of fun is having enough volume and enough experience to be able to see really how that correlates. And same for customers. If a customer calls in to get something fixed that was supposed to take 5 minutes and it was 10, 11, 12, it probably wasn't good, and there's some opportunity there. Now, every now and then you get the customer that wants to chat and or whatever, but for the most part, numbers don't lie. Those KPIs are going to tell you and be a predictor. I wish I had KPIs and predictor in my normal life that I do in a call center. Right. I wish that I had a KPI on my air conditioner that told me the day it was going to break down, because we pretty much know the day an agent is going to, turn over if there's going to be an issue, from that, or a day, the minute that a customer is going to turn into an escalation. And I don't have nearly as much insider control over my normal life. I have a 15-year-old daughter and 11-year-old son, and I have zero control over both of them. So I need to figure out some I can get real time that will help me manage that
Yeah,
aspect.
good luck with that.
Yeah.
As someone who has older kids, but when you look at the contact center industry, it's so often associated with frustration and complaints and negativity. How do you stay so positive and help maintain customer satisfaction and relationships with clients when there's so often it's all about the negatives in our space, and there are a lot of bad actors out there.
Yeah, I really, I can only really speak for, my
Sure.
contact centers and those that I work for, but I will tell you the negative, even though the greasy, or the squeaky wheel gets the grease, the negative is less than 5% of our calls. And I will really tell you that I
Hmm.
truly believe that if you hire the right agent and you train them the right way and you set the right expectations, they actually kind of look forward to that challenge. That one that comes in, and I will tell you, for the most part, I believe as a society, people are so happy to get good service, that unless something has really gone sideways and really gone, a direction that it shouldn't need to be going, uh, it's a very small percentage that we're seeing. Again, there might be groups that are out there that are like that. I also think self-help has
Hmm.
controlled a lot of that. The customer that is so mad that just wants to break something, a lot of times we'll go through and we'll get filtered out by maybe a chat bot or by an
Hmm.
IVR, or different things like that. But I will say, I don't even think it's 5%. I think it might be 1% of what I see is truly negative. That is what sticks in your mind. But I also think the things that people are helping people with today, the complex problems, I always say, when phones were first invented, you called in for everything. You called in to change your address. You called in to remove to change a password. Now our calls, they're all emotional,
Hmm.
complex, and urgent.
Hmm.
Just about every one of them. And if you're taking 100 complex, emotional, and urgent calls a day, and 95 of them are good, and you truly solve somebody's problem that's emotional, complex, and urgent, there's 5 that are bad. You're going to brush those 5 off and say, you know what? I helped 95 people and I ran into 5 bleep, and it kind of is what it is.
Brilliant, brilliant. Love that. Um, for those businesses that might be listening who are struggling with customer service, really don't have a strategy, what baby steps would you suggest taking beyond obviously calling you
Yeah.
after after
Yeah.
the show? But what would you suggest they do? Because it's not an area of expertise for many firms.
I think that's really the first thing, is to really realize that if it's not a core competency of your business, that you're probably actually doing your customers a disservice by trying, to do it yourself.
Hmm.
The analogy I use is a Ferrari is amazing, but you wouldn't pull a trailer with it, right? That it's not what it's built for. So if you take a look at your organization and providing customer care is not a core competency of yours, then outsourcing it's obviously an opportunity. Define your culture. What are you looking for? Specifically, what do you want experience to look like? That's the first thing I ask people. Sometimes their definition of success and mine is way different. I send them to a different opportunity other than mine, because if you're not culturally aligned with your partner, it's not going to end well. Secondly, look at your internal processes. Your internal processes need to be consistent. A lot of times people look at it and like, we don't even have training. Well, that's a problem. But organizations like mine can help you build that. And oh, by the way,
Mm,
you need that. In today's world of turnover, 25 years ago, when you hired somebody when they were 25 and they retired when they were 55, you didn't need training because they knew everything and they were there. But in today's world of turnover, you really do need, a good selection process. Who are you hiring? How are you training them? What resources are you giving them? What's your knowledge base look like? What do your KPIs look like? So, the first thing is realize it's not a core competency. Define your culture, what you're looking for, and then just start looking through the process. What kind of agents are you looking for? What's your training look like? What are kind of the true needs of your business? And believe it or not, a lot of the time, as partners truly decide they're going to outsource, as they go through the process, they really have fun with it because they say, these are things we should have done years ago. These are questions I should have asked. These are processes I should have refined. And once they get it done, it almost opens up so it takes away that distraction from their business, but it lets them understand, if I was going to double my business, what could I do? We run into partners every day that have slowed their growth because they can't
mm,
serve what they have today. Where if you get these processes in place, it allows you to then really look ahead and be like, well, if I know that it takes this to service 100,000 customers, if I was going to double, it would just take this times two, no problem. Let's go.
mhm.
And it really becomes a fun partnership at that point.
Brilliant insights. So I'll be at CCW in Las Vegas next week, as will you. It's my first time here at that show. What can we expect, do you think? And what are you hoping to see and get out of the event? And what insights are you really keen on learning more about over the next year or plus in the
Yeah,
industry? A lot going on.
the biggest thing I'll say is it's back, baby. The call center week before the pandemic was really a great, melting pot of ideas. And then 2020, there was nothing. And then people were kind of dipping their toe in the water. But I'm hearing, more people attending and more people, kind of working through that. I think cost cutting is at an all-time high. So how to
Mm,
utilize technology to do that, automation, and then labor shortages. What are people utilizing to be able to get the most out of the labor that they have, or utilize things like nearshore, offshore from that end of it. But and then the work at home. I think we've entered a new conversation of work at home that it's been around for years, but what's the new work at home normal going to look like? Is hybrid really the answer? Some high profile CEOs have come out and said, it's immoral. We can't do it. There's no way it'll work. I don't necessarily fall into that same, but it's new. And I think about people that are starting their careers, and someone that starts as an agent and becomes a lead and becomes a supervisor and becomes a manager and becomes a director and becomes a vice president. How is that going to work at home? And I don't think we know yet, because I think this mass work at home bubble that was created with the pandemic is 2 or 3 years old. So there will be a lot of conversations around that. I don't think anyone knows the answer. So I always, when I start that conversation, I love it when people say, I don't know the answer, but these are the things I'm looking at, these are the things I'm paying attention to. And I will be the first to throw my hat in the ring and say, I don't know. I don't have a time machine. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know the answer. But I do know there's more than enough work to go around. I do know there are still very talented people that want to work and want to help people. And I know there's technology that is world class. And that's what gets me excited. That if
wow.
there's work to do and people that want to do it and technology to help, I mean, what more can you ask for?
Not much. Well, you should run for office. We need a couple senators like you in
Way too
office.
many
But
skeletons in my closet, Evan.
uh, it was really great meeting you at Enterprise Connect. I heard some wonderful anecdotes about South Dakota, a place I've never been. Embarrassing to say. My knowledge is like basically that of Deadwood, the TV series some years back. For people like myself who want to plan a trip out your neck of the woods, when should they go? What should they see? And give us a little perspective on South Dakota
For sure, we would
Sioux Falls.
love to welcome you. You know, Midwest nice or South Dakota nice. Everybody here is always smiling. Everybody here loves to show off their state.
All right,
I
I'm not
actually
coming because I'm from Boston. We don't like that kind of thing. So,
Well, I had a partner come in from Philadelphia, and I took him to a restaurant, and the server welcomed us, and the manager welcomed us, and he had great service, and he accused me of planting. Good. He was actually mad because he's from Philadelphia, and he's like, "There's
right.
no way people are here this nice. This is a scam." And I said, I wish I had thought of that, but I didn't. It's just that's how we are. So come in the summer, you know, May through September, absolute great time of the year. This time of year is perfect. We're in the 80s. The Black Hills are absolutely amazing.
Mm.
Custer State Park, we have one of the largest bison herds in the
Wow.
country. You can see all kinds of historical markers where Teddy Roosevelt made the White House in the Black Hills for a couple of weeks every year.
Oh, no kidding. That's fascinating.
Mount Rushmore, Crazy Horse
Of course.
Memorial, which Crazy Horse is a memorial that is going to be so large that George Washington's face from Mount Rushmore would
Mm.
fit in Crazy Horse's eyeball. That's the scale. And hiking, biking, fishing, all of that, all of those types of things. So yeah,
Well,
we
you may have a career, a future career in the tourist sport for South Dakota. So
love to
keep
welcome
that in
everybody.
mind. But thanks, Joel. Look forward to seeing you at CCW next week. Thanks everyone for watching, and thanks for your time.
Thanks, Evan.
Take care, Joel.
You
Bye
bet.
bye, everyone.